Some people believe Hanayama will be the first one to defeat Jack Hanma in Baki Rahen. While others think he doesn't stand a chance against the biting cyborg, we know the fight is officially confirmed to be next in the current manga, with both fighters in top condition, but there is a number of issues I need to break down for you mad lads. Let's first have a look at what you guys are saying. Jack has agreed to make it a fight without biting. The context of this is after Jack defeated Pickle, we had Hanayama pull up to the underground arena, where as a response, Jack the Mad Lad began talking shit to the Yakuza boy, in the sense that he will be able to defeat him without the use of his most powerful weapon, his Gaodao or biting martial art, with strikes grappling alone. This includes being injured from just facing Pickle as well, highlighting how much more powerful Jack believes he is compared to Hanayama, someone who, as a reminder, he had no knowledge of until recently in the story, meaning he has no idea how powerful the leader of the Yakuza really is, an interesting aspect to remember moving forward. Therefore, a lot of you guys are saying this. With that, I could see Hanayama winning barely, but Itagaki making it clear that if Jack was to use his teeth, Hanayama wouldn't have stood a chance. This is very possible when you also consider that out of all the Baki characters, Hanayama's weakness to biting or Gaodao is one of the highest, considering bro does not block or does not dodge, which is insane to think about, but that's who Hanayama is. Apart from that, we have this dude which a lot of you guys agreed with, claiming, my prediction is that Jack will win the physical fight, but not the philosophical one. I think he'll end up having to take a bite out of Hanayama in order to win. That is the most likely path I see it going down. They have various back and forth. We have Jack using his incredible striking, maybe trying some German suplexes and other grappling moves he's highlighted as being capable of in the past, where he's unable to take down and definitively defeat the likes of Hanayama, getting maybe somewhat desperate and unleashing his biting, giving Hanayama the victory in a sense based on his prior comments. But now we have some other important things to go over that you guys need to know about both characters before their fight officially begins. For example, we have Hanayama's perceived strength throughout the story, something that's kinda all over the place. If we look at current times, not considering everything from the flashback with 13-year-old Baki, we had Hanayama during the Maximum Tournament lose against Katsumi Orochi. This was a fight where Hanayama for the most part lost due to his fighting style. He was stronger, he could have won if he did certain things differently, but mostly coming down to his fighting style being the ultimate downfall in that clash. Then on top of that, outside of the official fights, he was destroyed by Garland, a character Jack actually defeated in the Maximum Tournament after that exchange. And if you look at the whole tournament, Jack by the end of it is viewed as the second strongest after of course Baki Hanma, with the likes of Doppo and even Goki being ranked above Hanayama at that point. Even people like Retsu were portrayed much better than the Yakuza boy at this time, as he literally destroyed Katsumi, the person who defeated Hanayama, putting his position in the story nowhere close to the likes of Jack. Then we had the Most Evil Death Row Inmates arc, where Hanayama of course had his clash with Spec, where he was able to defeat him. From most people's perspective, even now, Spec ranks somewhere between 1 and 3 with most people's ranking, likely closer to around 3 at this point considering the additional reveals we've gotten for Yanagi in various side chapters and Dorian just being him throughout the entire arc. Top of all that, the fight between Hanayama and Spec is considered a high difficulty without a doubt. While the likes of Jack throughout that arc didn't have any trouble with Sikorsky, someone who as a reminder defeated Garland before pulling up in Japan, highlighting Jack's perceived strength still quite a bit above the likes of Hanayama. And then the Yakuza boy doesn't appear or fights for quite some time, having his next clash in the story during the Pickle arc, and that wasn't even an all-out clash, it was just a pushing exchange with the Dino Boy, where Hanayama was showed in a pretty impressive light, but then when he was watching Baki fight Pickle, he made various statements conceding inferiority to Pickle, highlighting Hanayama's lower ranking in the series. But with that said as well, we know Jack was destroyed by Pickle during that arc and shouldn't really be considered close to the Dino Boy in power at that time, but still, based on what we do know, he should be a few levels above Hanayama at that point in the story. But that's where everything begins to change the Musashi Miyamoto arc. Jack, as many of you know, was defeated by Motobe, while Hanayama got the chance to face Musashi as the second last person to fight him, and had one of the best performances compared to the entire cast, putting his perceived ranking in the story finally above the likes of Doppo Orochi, Goki, and those type of fighters. This includes the likes of Retsu. But with that said, there's various circumstances about Musashi not being serious until the later parts of the fight, and just the whole narrative of Musashi Miyamoto's role in the story, testing out his opponent at first and then locking in. But even comparing Hanayama to Pickle during that arc, we do have the Yakuza boy in a favourable light. But again, with all of that said, Motobe, who yes defeated and destroyed Jack, glazed him quite a bit, and that was not a low diff to any extent, as I've explained in many videos. This fight was incredibly close, and if Motobe didn't go in with his insane prep and counters to Jack's fighting style, he probably would have been destroyed, as pretty much confirmed by him during the fight, making me, even during the Musashi arc, rank Jack above the likes of Hanayama. Bringing us to the Sumo arc, where Hanayama was shown as a monster. He destroyed his opponent in probably the most low difficulty fight, but then Jack got his biggest buff and improvement we've ever seen in the story, bigger than ever before muscle wise, keeping the same height that he was revealed to have during the Musashi arc, but that was still much bigger than previously in the story. And then of course his current most powerful weapon, Gaodao, his biting martial art, defeating the main antagonist, or maybe even the protagonist of that arc, Sukune, once again putting his perceived strength and ranking quite a bit above Hanayama, something that has just kept on rising for Jack. While Hanayama had that questionable performance recently against Hanada during Baki Rahen, highlighting that since Jack was introduced to the story, his perceived overall power and ranking within the series has always been above Hanayama, and that is more so the case than ever before, explaining why a lot of people believe Hanayama doesn't really stand a chance against a full power Jack, and maybe something Itagaki realized, pointing to him talking about Jack not biting in this fight. But another factor I've seen many of you guys mention down in the comments is due to Jack being the protagonist, or this being his arc in Baki Rahen, him losing won't really happen, at least against someone outside of the Hanmas. If I had to make a definitive bet on who would actually defeat Jack during this arc, it would have to be either Baki or Yujiro. Baki could just, reign supreme as the superior brother, or of course the most likely option, Yujiro defeating Jack, but still giving him respect and accepting him as a fellow strongest creature alive, similar to what Baki got during their father-son fight. But again, using that as a cop-out to say Jax is going to win all these fights does make aspects boring, so I will consider anything a possibility. Baki has been the protagonist of most of the series, and bro has lost an insane amount of times. Yes, Jack in the past has lost quite a few times, but it doesn't mean he's not going to lose again and go through further improvement when he does face defeat, particularly if he's nerfing himself in a fight like what's going on right now for all we know. And I do in fact believe Hanayama has the power to defeat Jack. His grip strength is absolutely insane. He's one of the most respected characters in the entire series, even by the likes of Yujiro Hanma, who compares Hanayama to himself, a creature that's born with power, born with his insane strength. He is someone who does not back down, has enough raw power to damage pretty much anyone in the story, insane endurance, and considering the disappointment all of us felt with the Jack and Pickle rematch, perhaps the first ever clash between Jack and Hanayama will bring the story back with an amazing fight. At least that's what I'm hoping for, but all things considered, my bets are still placed on Jack Hanma due to a variety of reasons, but I do think the fight could be much closer than a lot of people are expecting. But let me know your thoughts on everything down below. Watch this video to learn more about the current top 10 strongest characters, and shout out to the channel members.